All right, hey people. Today is oops, that date's wrong. I can't. Well, let me fix this date to where it's what is today's date? The 23rd. Okay, here we go. 23rd. Sorry, I'm kind of like doing this show randomly. Um, Trying to get something done before got some children, so I don't want them to wake up. They're kind of sleeping in late. They stayed up late. Anyway, my name is Chris Lucas. Today is October 23rd, 2021. I just kind of wanted to do a video, see what I can play to just throw the question out there, is Donald Trump really the answer? Um, And let's see here. This is also being broadcast on Odyssey, brand new tube, and my channel on YouTube that's still left up there. The next Republican president. Yes, I know it's quite a crazy dream of mine. It's not really a dream. I don't even want to be president, to be honest. I just kind of want to. I'm like, if you people are going to vote Trump, though, and hype him up, I might as well throw my name out there. I mean, I'm qualified to run. I am a Republican, a registered Republican. I voted in the primaries and all that. I can get on the ticket. I got all the things you need to get on the ticket. It's just a matter of, do I get 1,000,000 people to subscribe to my channel? I can't even keep my channel up that long. Or one of my channels, if I get 1,000,000 people, I'll definitely do it. I'll have all the resources I need to get onto the primary ticket. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to play some clips because, like, I see people being very divisive or divisive. Because it's like you'll see Republicans getting mad at Democrats. Because they're like, oh, we blame you for this mess. We blame you for the forced vaccines. We blame you for the mandates and all this. But if you think about it, I'm about ready to play some clips that's going to, might change that kind of thinking, which I think really needs to be changed because you need to understand that this is a much bigger problem than just blaming a Democrat or a Republican. You can't just, because it's like really all this let's go Brandon stuff and trying to make fun of Biden and all this. I don't see it being one bit productive. And the reason why I go after Trump, because you're like, wow, you must be a Democrat. You hate Trump so much. I get this all the time, and it sickens me. I've been getting this ever since I became a Republican about 20 years ago. I've been getting this. And what you don't understand is when I attack people like George Bush, see now, people are like, oh, yeah, I see George Bush. He was behind 9/11. But at the time when I was attacking him, people thought, oh, you lefty, you crazy lefty, you. And I'm like, well, no. I think, the Democrats control the both parties. In fact, I think, maybe the Vatican's in on it, because at the time I wasn't sure, like 15, 20 years ago, I was just kind of new to all this. And I was like, to me, it looks like, you got some kind of outside coordinated effort, some kind of new world order thing that's much bigger than both parties in America, something that's influencing both parties. There seems to be something else going on, but I couldn't quite figure out what that foreign influence could possibly be. Because you have people blaming the communists and blaming socialists, but it's like, okay, like what specific group? What specific communist group? What specific socialist group? And I could not. I'm like, who are these nameless people? And then people are like Illuminati, but it just wasn't quite enough for me. And once I figured out the Vatican and I started looking at it from that perspective, everything started making sense to me. Because now I'm like, okay, George Bush, Ronald Reagan, they were very heavily Roman Catholic people in their cabinets. Like I think it's like over 90% of the people in their cabinets were Roman Catholic, right? And the same thing that goes for Trump. He had like 33 Catholic advisors, only 24 advisors from other denominations. That's a little weird. And the thing that makes that even more weird is the Democrat Party pretty much lines up exactly with what the Pope wants. It's like, the Pope wants global warming. Democrat Party wants global warming legislation. Pope wants open borders. Democrat Party wants open borders. And so on and so forth, right? Gun control. Pope wants gun control. Democrat Party wants gun control. So it always kind of like made me go, wait a minute. Pope wants all this. Catholic Church wants all this. But we were putting in 33. Trump's got 33 Catholic advisors and only 24 advisors from other denominations. It just didn't make sense. Oops, I just realized something. I didn't have my... Oh my gosh, I hope my mic was working. You know what? Let me do something real quick and make sure that mic is working. Sorry about that. I want to make sure I got my good mic working. Check. That doesn't look like it. Oh, well, you know what? I'll just kind of go with whatever it was already at. But anyway, so it never really made sense to me that if the Catholic Church is for all these like things that you would associate Democrats with, why do we have more Catholics at the top of the Republican Party, in the cabinet than we do other denominations? It doesn't quite make sense. And so when you start understanding things from that perspective and you start seeing that the Vatican is a foreign state as well as a church, and you start to see how it basically, is like talking to all these world leaders and surrounding itself. And so it definitely has a political influence. And most Americans don't like the way, at least most patriotic Americans, most Republican Americans don't like the way most of the other governments of the world operate. But the Pope's sitting here and getting along with them fine, pushing things like climate change at this Laudato Si. And which I think it's like going on right now. I'm a little out of like studying what's all going on out there, but I know they're meeting with several governments to push climate change mandates, and I believe that's where all this forced mandates concerning a vaccine is going. And one of the things I want to say to you is, as far as like Trump not being the answer is, here's a guy that was like so hell bent on ending what he considers to be anti-Catholic bigotry. You hear him making these like speeches where he's like, I want to end anti-Catholic bigotry. But with someone like me who's pointing out that the Catholic Church lines up exactly with the Democrat Party, would you start to label me as an anti-Catholic bigot and then go after me? All I know is under Trump, I started losing my freedom of speech. I couldn't post videos anymore. I couldn't speak against the Catholic Church anymore. I couldn't speak against COVID. I couldn't speak against how ridiculous it all was. And I was losing these freedoms up under Trump. So it's not like when Biden got into office, like, oh, now I just lost everything. Nope, I had lost everything under Trump. Because everything of mine was pretty much gone by October 2020. So in October 2020, I lost everything, right? So Trump to me didn't really protect me. It didn't really protect free speech. So if we lost everything under Trump, including our freedom, got locked down, had all this like inflation start to happen, had all this money being spent on a virus with, most people would say it has at least a 99.97% survival rate. And then if you treat it, it probably goes up way higher. And that 99.97% survival rate That's factoring in people with comorbidities who are also maybe even overweight and other things, diabetic, and all these other things that happen that could exacerbate a simple little illness. And all these people are, getting hospitalized and dying. But, a healthy person, way higher survival rate. But anyway, I want to play this little clip because, see, people blame Trump. I mean, Trump supporters will blame people who voted for Biden for this mess. But what if the people who voted for Biden didn't want the vaccine? Because guess who did warp speed? Trump did warp speed. Guess who kept renewing the emergency declaration every 90 days? Trump did. And none of those Trump supporters were out there saying, Trump, don't do it. None of them said, Trump, don't do it. They would yell at their governors, and Trump would say, yeah, you guys need to open up. Well, if they need to open up, why don't you stop renewing the order? You stop renewing the order. That way, it no longer looks like an emergency, because now if even a Democrat opens up, they look stupid. Because why? Yeah, I opened up. There's a lot of people that think it's a virus. Even Trump thinks it's a virus, and Trump's even giving us money to lock down. And I know most of you guys want to stay at home with a free check, but no, I'm going to disobey Trump and open everything up. You think that those governors would do that? And also the Republican governors. People got mad at our governor here in Indiana, Eric Holcomb. And it's like, well, you guys kept cheering Trump. You guys even threatened the Libertarian candidates that if they didn't vote Trump, you would not vote for them. And that made no sense whatsoever. Who's locking you down? Who's signing warp speed? Who keeps renewing the emergency order? Why would you threaten candidates that they have to vote Trump if you don't like the lockdowns, if you don't like the vaccine, but yet you're threatening them that they better vote Trump? And when you're sending this message to Holcomb, I think, who's a Republican, what does that do? You're saying you're cheering for Trump, and he sees these massive crowds cheering for Trump. Do you think he's going to end a lockdown if Trump's the one doing the lockdown? Think logically. That's madness when you are like, I hate you for locking us down, Eric Holcomb, but yay Trump, yay Trump. I hate you for locking us down, Holcomb. Yay Trump, the guy who's locking you down. Like, it's just like, this is maddening to me. So now I want you to understand that's crazy, right? And then I'm going to play you a clip, because now I understand some people didn't want this, and maybe they're not as educated as you, and maybe they're thinking, hey, I heard Biden say he's against the mandate, so maybe I can vote for him because Trump's pushing this way too hard. I think it's stupid Trump spent all this money. So
I want to talk about vaccine mandates really fast, because here is what Joe Biden used to say about vaccine mandates.
No.
So somebody asked him, it's okay. Do you think vaccines should be mandatory? That's the question. And he says, no. Watch, listen.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide.
So that was Joe Biden last year in 2020. Joe Biden, COVID vaccinations in U.S. will not be mandatory. That was for December 2020. December 5th, 2020. Fauci, even Dr. Fauci, this is from August 2020. Dr. Fauci said, everyone has the right to refuse a vaccine. If someone refuses the vaccine in the general public, then there's nothing you can do about that. You cannot force someone to take a vaccine, he said. What changed? Well, here's Nancy Pelosi.
So here's the thing. We cannot require someone to be vaccinated. That's just not what we can do. It is a matter of privacy to know who is or who isn't.
Well, guess what? Everything's different now. Sweeping new vaccine mandate for 100 million Americans.
Okay, I kind of want to be careful because I know sometimes Jimmy Dore cusses. I'm trying to keep the show as family friendly as possible. But so I wanted to play those little clips just to let you know. And if you want to find this, you can go to odyssey.com and just in the search engine type in the Jimmy Dore Show vaccine mandate flip flop, and you should be able to find this video just by typing that in. But anyway, well, right here, you can type that title in on Odyssey right down at the bottom here. But so basically, I want you to understand that I don't know how Trump can be the answer when he was the one pushing it. And I don't think you should hate Democrats for voting, because really you don't know what was going on in some of these people's minds. And I kind of want to try to have more of like be more unifying than just like playing that blame game. And then when I think, Trump supporters, you're making it worse by, making fun of Biden and everything. Because I think really what you need to do is accept what Trump is and move on, and know you need to find a better candidate. Like I said, I'll run. You can vote for me. I put my name out there. You really don't have an excuse. And I know you go, well, Chris, you never held office. Oh, Chris, it's like people barely know you. It just takes one subscription at a time, one click at a time, one like at a time. And eventually I get to that million number that I want. I think even 100,000, I could probably do it. Maybe even 10,000. And I think I could get my name on that ballot, because it's like from then I can work with a base. And my whole thing is, I don't really, like I said, I don't want to, I'll run to win. I will fight hard like someone had a gun to my hand. Like, you better think of every possible way of winning, and you better, like, when you debate, you better have like the best debate you can possibly, do and everything. Like, it's not like when I say I don't want to win, or I don't want to be, let me rephrase that. I want to win, but I don't really want to be president. Like, this isn't something I want to do. I want to run for. I'd rather have someone else who's better run. But the only thing is, the people I see out there, they're garbage. And when I see, like I said, when I see people doing this whole Trump 2024 thing, yeah, it bothers me. But like, it's like, I'm a fighter, I'm like, I'll fight, and I don't believe in just laying down and letting the other side win. But at the same time, it's like, I don't like all the privacy concerns I would have as being a president. Like, I like to keep a kind of a private life, and I don't think I would have that as a president. That's why I don't want to really run, but I'll run. I'll do everything I can to win. But at the same time, I'm not one of these like people that's like, oh, if I was president, I'd do all this. And nah, it's like, it ain't going to play out like that, homie. It plays out way different. I don't know. I've played those clips in the past. I'm not really sure where all I should go next with this, because I played a lot of clips in the past, and I don't want to be rehashing too many things too much. Trying to see if I got something already up here. That was probably one of my videos. That's another one of my videos that's gone. Another one.
Colonel North, in your work at the
it's kind of weird, it's like people, they got people like Oliver North on Fox, right? And you forget that it's like, he's like, we shouldn't give our enemies weapons. He says that, recently on Fox, but then it's like years ago, what was the guy doing? He was helping Iran get the weapons and all that stuff. It's really, I don't know. Everything's kind of pretty warped. Oops. Sorry, I gotta exit out of that. Like I said, I didn't really have much planned for a show. I'm going to see who might be all out there. See if anyone's making comments. Maybe I can throw a link out into the chat. You know, if anyone's out there, see who. If anyone wants to come on the show. Said, oh, here I'll read some of these. Let me read some of these comments in here. He said, "Hell no, he isn't." Oh, hell no, he isn't. People seem to forget that he has rushed into the ultra dangerous 5G program and he kicked the COVID lethal injection program warp speed into high gear. Why you may ask us, the mother humper wants to kill us off quick, like there's no doubt in my mind now. Yeah, dude, I like how you think, man, and I agree with you, Whiskey Man, because Whiskey Business, 1963. Here, I'll read some of these other comments. The CDC says you can form a natural immunity to COVID, and getting vaccinated only gives you protection from the virus with 40 different types of adverse effects, including death. It also destroys 20% of your natural immunity each time you get vaccinated and the ability to fight diseases, so you will need to get boosters for the rest of your life. Yeah, you know, here, I'll read the rest. Someone says, depends on, is Trump the answer? Well, okay, I said, is Trump the answer? And he said, it all depends on what the question is. So let's see here. Yeah, Lightning 777 says, you mean Operation Warp Speed Trump? Yeah, I mean, that's why I got the biggest problem with Trump. I think that guy, he really needs to be exposed before we can get on with any kind of like solution or answer. And I'm going to go to my page because I know there's like a few things. Oh, hey, you know what? I found this TED Talk clip, and this I Emerson Brooking, I thought it was really interesting that this was from sorry, I want to go to my page, but anyway, I thought it was real interesting that this is from June 21st, 2019. And he's talking about misinformation, the new public health crisis. That's really weird, you know, that they're starting to bring all this up in 2019, right before they roll out this whole COVID scam, right? Just like with Trump, he had that whole what was it? Yeah, those Jews in New York, and there were some people in California that go, "Hey, Trump, can you help us out with this?" They're trying to get rid of religious exemptions for vaccines. Can you help us out? And these reporters, you know, find them, and let's see if I can find. I think I got it on this page right here. These reporters find them. Oops, I guess I don't have that up here, man. YouTube kind of destroys everything. But anyway, there's this clip of him talking about this measles outbreak, right? And these reporters catch him when he's on this helicopter, and they go, "Hey, are you going to help these people out?" And he goes, "If the government says you have to get the shot, you have to get the shot. It's too important." And part of my thinking is, it's like if you can't get a religious exemption for a disease that was not locking anything down, and Trump's telling you, yeah, if they tell you have to get the shot, you have to get the shot. Chances are, if Trump locks you down for almost a year over a disease and keeps renewing it and spends trillions and trillions of dollars on it, chances are he's going to probably force that on you too, with no religious exemption. Oh, you know what? Something I want I saw this ad, and what's really weird is the thumbnail they chose. I'm like, why did you choose this thumbnail on a ad that says the entrepreneurial state, Biden attempts to spur innovation, outsmart China? And this is some kind of like Democrat leaning channel. And out of all the thumbnails they pick this. I just kind of thought that was weird. And when I'm watching the video, this little clip only shows up for like about 2 or 3 seconds. So they managed to pick this 2 or 3 second clip out of all of it. And it's not like they were sitting there like, describing a certain innovation or referring to this at all. It's just like they were showing several different innovations, but that's the one they decided to put in their thumbnail. I just kind of thought that was weird. Not sure if that's got some kind of deeper meaning, but and basically, what here, this post I made, it does kind of help me let you understand what I'm trying to do, because I know a lot of people are like, Chris, why don't you run third party? Why don't you, both parties are horrible. And the whole thinking I have is, because I've been in a third party before, like 20 years ago. And the reason why I don't do third parties, I think they're horrible, is because I've realized the same people that infiltrate, that run the Democrat Party, they infiltrate the Republican Party. And when there's any kind of third party that shows any kind of like sort of like promise or growth, they start having their people infiltrate it. And sometimes they even infiltrate it right when it starts too. And I learned this because I was talking to one of the guys that was trying to run for president in that party. It was the Constitution Party. And as he's bashing Lincoln, I'm like, a lot of the stuff you're saying about Lincoln doesn't make sense. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go read some old books, from the 1800s, and I'll come back to you. And because I don't want people rewriting history from this time period. Let's see what they were saying from that time period. So I find out that the Vatican was behind the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, like it was documented in a trial by a general named Thomas Harris. And he wrote a book about it called Rome's Responsibility for the Assassination of Lincoln, where he said the Vatican was so much involved in it, you could even convict the Pope. So I bring this information to this guy. And at the time, I didn't know all this stuff about the Vatican infiltrating our government and things like that. And I go, hey, man, did you know the Vatican was behind blowing Lincoln's brains out? And I had several books. I didn't even have that one book. I had other books, to verify what that guy was saying, all from the 1800s. And I was even had books older than that, because it showed leading up what all was happening with the Vatican and our government and the Democrat Party leading up to that period. And this guy goes, well, that was written after the fact. And I just stopped right there, because just him saying that alone, I was like, the only the Bible even is the only book I know of where you can talk about history before it happens. Other than that, yeah, everything that's historic is written after the fact. It was only written a few years after the fact. It's not like it was written several years ago. A lot of people were still alive who took part in that, and they could have been like, oh, no, Mr. Harris, you're wrong. That didn't happen. But there are no books, there are no newspaper clippings saying that I'm aware of that's like, no, Mr. Harris, you're completely wrong. You're out of your mind. That didn't happen. I don't know how a general of the United States Army could say such a thing. Nope, there's nothing like that exists. So the people at the time never criticized him, but yet this guy's going to tell me that book doesn't matter because it was written after the fact. So I just kind of walked away, and it made me think about how controlled all your parties are. So even when you go to the third parties, you still got these same people infiltrating them. So you might as well dig your heels in, and like the main party that's supposed to be against all this, and then just expose it, like get into these smaller offices, because you're not going to expose it from the top. I'm kind of running as a president as kind of like more to just kind of expose everything. But the way I think you should really get this done is have people run for smaller offices who are legit people, and you win those city council offices, and this way you can stop any kind of vote rigging. If you have enough good people in those smaller offices, you take care of the smaller problems that lead to the bigger problems, like the vote rigging, because it's real hard to fix something from the top down, but from the bottom up you can fix it a lot easier. But I get, so my whole thing is, you just focus on getting the right people on the Republican primary ticket. You treat that like it's the general election. And I mean, like, I'm not talking about, just go vote in the primaries. No. That's not going to fix it. You have to go out there and collect signatures, help people collect signatures, or collect them yourself and run for office yourself and get on that ticket and fix this. But it also requires you to vote in primaries so you can be able to do that. Sometimes you can get approval from whatever the local Republican chairman is, and he can kind of waive the whole thing where you had to vote in a previous primary in order to run for office. But if you can just get the right people on the ballot and get those people voted in, then you know what? Now all it is because we basically know people are only going to vote either Republican or Democrat. So as long as you can just get the right people on the Republican ticket, you can then, you pretty much got a 50-50 chance at that point of getting the right person in. So, I mean, that's kind of like my strategy behind that. And, and if people fight that, it's pretty easy to start exposing like who's all the scumbags in your state. Because I know that I had local radio people and newspaper people talk some stuff to me, try to bash me, try to attack me. And I think it just exposes them. But luckily for them, I've been banned so much off of social media, I don't really have much of a voice to call them out. But I'll figure out a way around that. But I do have something I want to show people as far as like that whole vaccine thing. Oh, I also thought this was interesting. Trump got rid of this guy, Rick Bright, who Biden just put back on the COVID-19 task force. But he criticized Trump, saying everything would have to go perfectly for a vaccine to be ready in 12 to 18 months. And everything rarely goes perfectly. And so, Trump gets rid of this guy. And I'm like, well, Trump, you really shouldn't rush this experimental technology out so fast. And he did. Oh, yeah. See, and this goes back to my point, too. I found this in this one newspaper article. It's of the Star Democrat, right? So think about this. If you have 79 million people that voted for Trump, and it's like, yeah, Trump, and none of them are going, Trump, in your emergency declaration, Trump, we don't want this warp speed. Stop it. Stop renewing the emergency order every 90 days. Stop, Trump. We don't need it. We don't need it. Just end it. If you had 79 million people telling Trump that, it's one thing. But when you have 79 people just cheering him, it does create the impression that you're for all these things. You're for warp speed. You're for the vaccination. You're for the lockdowns. It creates it creates that perception because you're not protesting against them. You're not telling Trump specifically to stop. I know you're yelling at your governors and things, but you're not blaming Trump who started the whole thing going, right? And so now Biden says the vaccine was developed and authorized under a Republican administration, and it's been distributed and administered under a Democrat one. The vaccines are safe, they are highly effective, and nothing political about them. So he's saying that, and so basically he's showing that same sort of perception that you guys are conveying. You know, when you support Trump, you are conveying that, yeah, we're for this vaccine too, because if you weren't, you would protest against them. And you're not. You keep going to these rallies cheering for him, and you even say Trump 2024. But yeah, someone earlier though, they said something about the vaccines don't work. And I just want to show you something. It says, I go, yeah, well, way to go, Gibraltar. You just need to start a vaccination program so you could be part of the deadly pandemic. Because as you can see here, look at their graph. This is when there's no vaccine, right? Look, January 20th. No vaccine. Oh, let's start the vaccine program. This is probably right around December, November, right? So you start the vaccine program. Okay, let's really get a lot of people vaccinated. Man, it's like just shot right up there. So it says deaths per million people, 205 deaths per million. And that's what the vaccine program did for Gibraltar, it looks like. Now I tell you what, man, this Dan Andrews guy. Oh, wow. You know what? I should probably play this clip.
Like, why would you just get the system going? Why would you have the thing up and running and then essentially pull all the architecture that you built, all the infrastructure that you built, the culture that you've changed? Why would you change that 4 or 5 weeks later? We will not be doing that here. I'm not going to say to someone, oh, look, just wait us out, will you? Just wait 4 or 5 weeks and then you'll be able to go to the pub. No, if you make the judgment to not get vaccinated and you reckon you can wait out us or the publican or whoever you want to think you're waiting out, you won't wait out the virus, because the virus will be here for a long time. And your only protection against it is being vaccinated. This will be well into 2022, well and truly into 2022. Then we're going to get into booster issue, so it won't be your first and second dose. It'll be have you had your third, and then the other issue will be, well, who knows what variant's coming? Who knows? Like, we don't. So we've got every reason to be confident, with every reason to be optimistic and upbeat. The Victorians have done an amazing job, but that job includes us making some difficult decisions, and that's to keep people who are not vaccinated out of some of those venues that we've been talking about today.
How long do you foresee?
I can't put a date on it. I cannot put a date on it, but I can tell you this: it will not be when we reach 90%. It will not be, anytime soon. That's going to function for a period of time, well into 2022. For instance, I'll give you an example. The Grand Prix is in April. I don't think there's going to be crowds at the Grand Prix made up of people who have not been double dosed. Just to give you a time frame. Doesn't mean it'll end the day after the Grand Prix, but that just gives you some sense. Please don't play that game of let's just wait them out and then we'll be able to do everything we want to do and have not got jabbed. No, that will not be the case here. And if you make that choice, it'll be a very long wait, and you won't outwait this virus. If you're not vaccinated, you'll get it, and you've got every chance of becoming very, very unwell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The whole thing is, remember, they just told us 2 weeks. So that's why I'm never gonna ever be cool about this whole thing, because they lied to us from the beginning. It was never 2 weeks. You said it was 2 weeks. Now you're telling me, yeah, it's just 2 shots, and now it's 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots. On this website, on this Canadian website, if you go into the programming of it, which I haven't had a chance to do yet, but I saw someone on a video, they go into this Canadian vaccination website, And on that website, they go into the code and they find out that there's lines in the code for 8 shots, for 8. So that's basically, you got your first 2 shots of the coronavirus, of the whatever, the experimental injection. And then you got to get 6 boosters is what it looks like. They got 6. I think that's what those other 6 slots are for the booster. So it's 8 altogether, 2 for the original and then 6 more for the booster. And I think some other sites, what it is it's where you get vaccinated and then it's got for other countries, I think it's once you get onto the site, I think they got something where you're already, it's given that you're already vaccinated, but it's still got 6 more slots for, I guess, the booster. And then I think the way the Canadian site does, and I got to go back and check all this out. I don't know 100% sure about these other countries, but I know on the Canadian, it's like it's got 8 slots. And I'm guessing like 2 of those are for your first 2, and then the other 6 are for the boosters. So I don't know. I won't ever believe that it's just 6 shots. And, and I know there might be someone new to this channel. And yes, I realize, it's kind of silly, you get vaccinated or so-called vaccinated, but you can still get the virus, give the virus, spread the virus. So how are you protecting anyone? It's the exact same as being an asymptomatic COVID carrier. Maybe it's even worse. One thing about this is I also said the sad thing about all this, if we can't convict Trump of crimes, no one else goes down over COVID either. He knows more than all of us. He signed everything. He keeps promoting the jab. He keeps promoting his vaccine. And I said, as a dog, and I quote this Bible verse, as a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Proverbs 26:11. The masses will keep all this going if they don't let go of Trump. You have to let go of this ideal you have that this guy is going to save you and that he's the answer. Because you're basically like that dog that returns to his vomit. You should, this thing needs to be vomited out and kept out, and you need to just move on, man. He was the wrong guy, and I don't even know how much more I could make that. Should probably watch this Derek Bros clip. Wish I could find this one person, but I don't want to post everyone's page because I'm not sure. Post it on someone else's page, but let's see here. I'll find it real quick so I don't have to go through her page. Just posted on her page today. But let's see here. I think Derek Bros. Oh, wait a minute. Q-tards Trump. The truth. Yeah, right. Here we go. I won't play this whole thing, but if you go to Odyssey, if you want to play the whole clip, that's the name. Oh, no, wait a minute. This is the name. Oh, shoot.
This is Diana Linska. Let there be light. March 13th, 2020. Trump signed an executive order giving FEMA total control of the United States of America for 6 months. We're divided into 10 districts under FEMA. Then, to make matters worse, on April 13th, 2020, he issued the 50-state national emergency, giving all the governors of each of the states of the so-called United States of America the power to make decisions running their states according to their own rules, mandates, whatever. Why everyone is blaming the Democrats for all the things going wrong in this country? One better look at the facts, the real facts, that we are still under FEMA. Everything that's happening in this country, all the deaths, all the fires, all the businesses being closed. It's 60% now of middle-class businesses gone. We owe it all to President Trump. Don't you realize nothing that is happening in America would be happening right now if he had not sold out this country by those executive orders issuing a state of emergency over a phony C-19 hoax that he knew to be fake. He knew it was fake. He knew it wasn't real. And yet he sold out America. By selling out America, it also made it easy for the other nations of the world to crack down on their countries and their citizens. You remember when he was bragging about the ventilators? Remember that? Do you know how many elderly people died on those ventilators because it was the wrong treatment? The majority of people who have been put on those ventilators should have never been put on them. We owe that to Trump also. Instead of blaming the Democrats, instead of blaming anyone else, look at where it stems from. Our own president. Every death, everything that's happening in this country, everyone who has lost their business or jobs, every child that has been abused and is suffering, it's due to those emergency orders that he issued on March 13th and April 13th. Yet all of you love him. Well, at least the Trump supporters. All of you who think he's going to save you. All of you who think he's going to make America great again. When all he's been doing is destroying this country, following the agenda. Do you know that America was never created to be the America that most of you believe she is? This country was established to bring about the very events that are taking place right now, to bring about a one world government. America was sold out a long time ago. 1871, our government needed money. They went to England, the Rothschild Bank. Part of the agreement was basically America coming back under the Crown of England without America not even realizing it, at least the...
Okay, I just want to kind of play that first part. That part, I mean, it might be right. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know that particular detail of American history. I mean, I know America started out as a nation that was supposed to be freedom of religion, and and part of that was all that stuff that was happening over in England and Europe, where you had the popery and you had the Church of England trying to be the dominant religion, and the Church of England wound up kind of being sort of like popery anyway, in the way they wanted to just have the same sort of control and everything. So, but but that part up to the 4-minute mark, I definitely agree. But like I said, I don't know the whole story about the Rothschilds and the 1871 thing she's talking about. I'll have to kind of look that up. I'm not saying she's wrong. I do know that some people might go like, "Oh, the Jews are in on it," but you gotta really understand a lot of details between the Rothschilds and the Vatican to really get the complete picture. So, but I do want to point out something though to you. This was kind of like scary. My wife actually figured this out, and I was kind of surprised. Biden, migrant. What's a place called? Okay. So we got this story from the New York Post and Fox report on all, even there's a lot of people that report about the story. Biden secretly flying underage migrants into New York in dead of night. Now, the thing is, this also smacks back to Trump too. But says plane loads of underage migrants are being flown secretly into suburban New York in an effort by President Biden's administration to quietly resettle them across the region, the Post has learned. Now, the place where these kids are being dropped off at was this place called, and I found this out, it's like Mercy First, New York. Oh man, it's the one in Sisa. Here we go. Hold on, let me type that word. I couldn't figure out what exactly that place was in New York, but I'm going to show you something. This is where those kids are going. You know what? Hold on, I got a better way of doing this. Because Google actually has a ratings. I want you to see this is something you really might find interesting. So we're going to go to Google reviews. Some of these reviews are from years and years and years ago. Let's go to the lowest. I was in this detention center for over a year. The things I witnessed happening to the children there were horrifying. Children being dragged down to a secret room called CRT and being beaten. Children being starved if they spoke their mind, and the workers didn't like it. Recently, I found that governmental agencies are collecting data from these centers to see how easy it is to manipulate parents and having their children stay there. They're also selling information on the manipulation of young children. The staff there have zero qualifications to be working with young children. This program is strictly to collect data for the government. And I found out this is a Catholic center too. So this is like this is like Catholic. This is a Catholic center called Mercy First. So I was a resident at the facility in 1978 to 1979. My social worker's name was Maureen McLaughlin. Okay, never mind. I thought that was going to be something else. Okay, here's one. They don't help kids there. They bully them. They really need to get that fixed. This place destroys vulnerable kids. Extremely professional. All this was like, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. You can see that these things are like, these aren't recent reviews. Okay, so let me read this one. 2 years ago, many of my friends said that Mercy First was worse than jail. The agency fails to help those in their care. They say they will help and they don't. My boyfriend has been in the system since he was 14. One house was full of ants and drugs were being sold out of it. The next house, the woman running it would not give him his monthly allowance, and he did what she said. And when he called the agency to inform them, they said, then leave and go to this. I don't know what that means. It has been taking them over 8 months to get this green card replacement. This agency is such a disgrace. Kids run away from the campus and live on the streets, and they say they are happier there. This place sucked. The only good thing in the dog program, RIP Sassy. 20 years later, the 2 years I spent there were so miserable that it has turned out to be the defining event of my life. It's just a warehouse for adolescent bodies where they test out experimental psychiatric drugs. Nothing constructive happens there. I'm shocked it's still open. So, you know what, Trump, you knew this under your administration too. Like, this is no secret. Like, people have been, under Trump's administration, like these things were being talked about, these things were being said, and nothing was being done. But Trump, hey, we can't be anti-Catholic, guys. We can't be anti-Catholic. You're talking bad about the Catholics. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to investigate you. I'll have Barr investigate you. You better stop it, because that's what happened to me. I raised my voice up about this stuff, and one of my congressmen here, Jim Banks, that's who it was. I don't think this was a coincidence, because I called up another senator that morning. It was about 9 a.m., maybe about 8:55 a.m. So I got the answering machine. I left a message saying, Mike Braun was the senator's name. I go, Mike Braun, and this is all in Indiana. So I go, Mike Braun, I see that Trump's about ready to nominate Amy Coney Barrett. Oh, I got a story about her too. I see that he's about ready to nominate Amy Coney Barrett. I said, what? I said, do we really have to nominate another Catholic? I said, these Catholics, when you look at their Pope pushes the same agenda as the Democrat Party. I said, they're basically the same thing. I said, I looked at Kavanaugh. He's promoting climate change and all this other stuff. He was for spying. I said, he gets in office. He sides with Planned Parenthood. He's supposed to be against abortion. That's the one thing these Catholics are supposed to be good for, and they're not even good for that. So I said, I think there's something going on when you do nothing but nominate Roman Catholics. I said, this isn't right. And I said a few other things. And then later on, about 4 hours later, I'm reading an article in the paper and on like some online newspaper. And it says Jim Banks asked Barr to investigate anti-Catholic bigotry. Now, Jim Banks is also from Indiana. He might have talked to Barr. It's really weird that you pick that day, the same day I call up Mike Braun, to go and call up William Barr to have an investigation. So, yeah, I think that was sort of aimed at me. And I do got the calls. At some point, I need to show all the articles and everything. But I wound up being right about Amy Coney Barrett. I want to show you something. Amy Coney Barrett blocks students challenging mandate. Should have something up here. Look at this. This is another new one. Now, I mean, at first I was just thinking about the Indiana one. Wow. U.S. Supreme Court Justice rejects challenge to Maine COVID-19 vaccine mandate. So they're not, our Supreme Court, who's all on the Supreme Court? 7 Roman Catholics, and 3 of them Trump put on there. And they won't even allow this. See, it goes to show you I'm right. I was right. You know, Mike Braun and all you people that are hating on me, and the entire Trump crowd that was hating on me, attacking me, trying to get everyone to block me, and trying to encouraging everyone to kick me out of the groups and everything just because I said something. I wound up being right. But see, this is why America and the entire Republican Party is like going into the crap hole, because people will attack the people that are trying to help you, trying to expose this, trying to fix the things. The people that are most passionate about trying to fix these things, and the people who care the most, you'll take and be just, bam, man, get out of our party. It's like, and then like later on, they'll like in 5 years, they'll be like, oh, hey, Chris. They'll forget all about me saying that, and they'll be like, man, that Amy Coney Barrett's a horrible human, just like they said that about Roberts. But what did they do when I spoke out against Roberts back in, like, what was it, 2010, 2008? I don't know how far back I spoke out against Roberts. So I said, man, this guy, he's a bad guy. He's Roman Catholic. I said, I already know just by being that, he's going to go along with whatever the Pope wants. But I said, look, I'll do something. Let's just look him up. I don't know nothing about him, but let's just look him up, and let's just see what all I can find. So I'm looking him up, man. and I find out, hey, you know, this guy passed the biggest. No, he fought for and won this case that was like the biggest legal challenge to gay rights, you know, and he wound up winning that case for the gays, and now you see him today. He's all for open borders and everything. I'm like, is it surprising? But I called it out back then, you know, and people ran me out of their little groups. And, you know, when I was trying to talk at Tea Party events, people would try to tear down the stage. They went through all the trouble of trying to tear down the stage so I couldn't even talk. Because I was like, you know, it was kind of towards the end, and they were like, hey, does anyone else want to talk? I'm like, well, I'd like to say something. I couldn't get up on there. You know, it's like all these little organizations, man, these people just keep thinking they're doing so good, man, and they're not. But anyway, that's just one thing. But I think I got something where, oh yeah, right here, this was the one I was looking for. So this is back in August. Justice Amy Coney Barrett rejects Indiana students' bid to block COVID-19 mandate. Oh, see, I mean, I was saying this. That's why that's that call I made to Mike Braun. I said, I don't want this woman on there. That this is the kind of stuff she's going to do. And now I got Indiana representatives coming after me for calling out this. See, instead of going, oh, wow, that's a legit concern, instead of what Mike Braun did, who's also Roman Catholic, he just ignores it and he makes a phone call. And then he has Jim Banks say all this stuff, I guess, to make it not look like it's legit. Like, well, not that it's not legit, like it's not connected to him, but Jim Banks, know what day this was. I know, but sometimes in September, ask Barr to investigate anti-Roman Catholicism or something like that, or anti-Catholicism. I think this should be in September. Yeah, right here we go. I was thinking it was sooner than that, so I'm wondering if this is like a later article. This was September 25th on a Friday. Let's see here. I'm going to just see if September 25th was on a Friday. Oh, yeah, it was. So this is the article. See, I'm just showing people, man, like, I do know what I'm talking about. Sorry, man, like. So, I mean, like, this really did happen because I remember it was a Friday. And that's when I called, because Fridays is what the days I got off at work. I got like Friday and Saturday off. So Fridays mornings when I made that call, and we can see at 1:31 p.m., which I said was about 4 hours later, this article comes out, and House representatives called to investigate Barr, and look, it's going to be Jim Banks of Indiana. See? So just letting you know, I mean, I'm not talking, you know, I'm not just talking crap, you know, it's like, I'm pretty sure my call to Mike Braun that day was the call that triggered all this. But, you know, I don't know for sure. Maybe it was just a coincidence. But see here if anyone else has said anything. Kind of look through the comments. Let me kind of refresh this. So. Okay, so Elizabeth Billionaire says Daniel Andrews must be put to death. He's a dangerous lunatic who is working to harm, maim, and kill every Australian. Trump is the answer to nothing. In case you haven't understood that yet, Trump is your enemy, and he has fooled you into not noticing he's on the wrong side. Most definitely not on your side. So that's really good, man. I mean, I used to get so much hate, so it's really nice when I see these people actually knowing all this, acknowledging all this. Then Now, ICU CME2 says he's been gotten to no different from any other of the last puppets. JFK was the last one to say F you to them. You know, the thing about JFK, I'll say this. I think JFK was actually with all of them at first. Because I think that NASA program, I mean, let's face it, do any of you believe the United States sent a man to the moon? I mean, I would bet most people probably don't, because it's like, come on, man, we did that like 50 years ago and you can't do it now. It's like, I have, so me personally, I have a lot of trouble believing it. And then I just think there's things about their astronomy that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not going to go into all those details, but certain little things about their astronomy doesn't make sense to me to how you could get a man to the moon. So, anyway, I believe JFK, he was kind of like one of them, kind of like Reagan, where Reagan looked like this like really good guy. And he was saying all these like fantastic quotes. And even Trump would say some nice quotes and everything. And he could speak good. But if you looked at everything Reagan did, Reagan was a scumbag. I mean, he passed amnesty, which turned California into a Democrat state. And once California became a Democrat state, like in America, each state, if it's smaller and let's say it votes for a president, it counts less. But if it's got more population, that vote counts more. And like California counts as like, what is it? Something like 10 states almost, maybe more than that, maybe less, but I think it might even be more than that. So you got California, New York, and Texas. And those three states like account for like at least like what, 50% of the vote. I think if you win those three states, you win the election almost. So once Reagan gave California to the Democrats by passing amnesty, it suddenly became to where you basically had to win Texas and most of the other states in order to become president. So, you know, that was one of the bad things Reagan did. Another horrible thing he did was, you know, he nominated nothing but Catholics. Another thing he did was he removed these laws that were preventing diplomatic relations with the Vatican. And when were these laws put in place? Right after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, because they found out the Vatican was involved in Reagan's assassination. And so they put these laws in to prevent diplomatic relations with the Vatican. But then Reagan goes and removes those laws. A Republican president of all those things, you know, did it. And he did it in 1984. You know, it's kind of real symbolic of like Reagan to me was almost like the symbol of just, we really control this thing. You know, that was like the start of it right there. You know, it's 1984. He does this, you know, he does like the exact opposite of what a Republican president should do. It's amazing to think about it. But anyway, I think JFK was just about like Reagan. And then he had this thing where he had this affair with Marilyn Monroe and she got murdered. And then I think later on he had this like son that was like a baby that died. And in my opinion, it was probably that changed him, because that same year his son died, he seemed to change. And then you start hearing that speech about him talking about this unseen hand. And I believe that unseen hand was the Vatican that he was speaking about, you know, his own church, since he's a Roman Catholic. And I believe that unseen hand was what he was talking about. And he was about ready to reveal that. And right as he was about ready to reveal that, they put a bullet in his head. I mean, that's just what I think. And the guys who had that Zapruder film that showed the assassination, there's this guy who worked at Time magazine who bought the rights to that. And he and he held on to that film for 10 years before the public could see it. So 10 years goes by without anyone seeing that footage, right? So you have the media telling you what happened, and when you see the footage, that's not what really happened. You know, his what it say, his head went forward or something. I just remember like his head. It's been a long time since I read it, or watched it, but you know, he got the news people saying one thing, but then when you watch the video, his head's like doing the opposite motion. But the thing about that Zapruder film was, that was a Roman Catholic that bought that film, and he just held on to that. There's a lot of Roman Catholic ties into that, where you could see this cover up. This guy named Eric777 does this good video on it. It's but look up. I think it's like this guy named, I think it's Judge Haggerty, Haggerty. So just type in Haggerty and Eric777, and you'll find this video, and he goes into that Kennedy assassination, all the Roman Catholic ties into it. And so I basically believe Kennedy had a change of heart. You know, once his son died, he probably was starting to think about how David, if you remember the story of David, King David in the Bible, you know, he goes and sleeps with Bathsheba, not supposed to. And then he goes and gets Uriah killed in battle, orders the troops to take and withdraw and leave Uriah in the front of the battlefield, and kills him. And Uriah was a very loyal soldier that loved King David and everything, and looked at serving King David as serving God himself. There goes David sleeping with Uriah's wife while he's out on the battlefield, and then he has Uriah killed. But anyway, you know, one of the judgments from that was God took his son, you know, and I think that's what happened with Kennedy. You know, I think he started thinking about all that and started relating to David and thinking that was a judgment. So we started change. But that's just my opinion to the whole story. I don't have like a, you know, I got like just circumstantial evidence to back up that view, but no real evidence. But, you know, as far as like me thinking like why he changed. But anyway, Sicko says the CDC says you can form a natural immunity to COVID, and getting vaccinated can only give you protection. Oh, okay, I already read that earlier. So, yeah, if you look at a lot of these studies, you'll see that the places where they vaccinate the most, like the rates of infection seem to be climbing. I know Israel's like that. So it's like, okay, you know, and then they start to blame it on the Delta variant. But the Delta variant is actually the Indian variant, and that's been around since this whole COVID thing started. There was 4 different variants that started. I posted about it like right at the start of this whole lockdown stuff back in, what was it, April of 2020. I posted this article saying there's 4 variants. I'll have to find that later, man, because it'd take me forever to search through Facebook and figure out where I posted that. But there's actually 4 different variants. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring up a few things, you know, about that Mercy's First and Biden, you know, and like just letting people know, you know, it's like it, you know, Biden did say he was against the mandates. So when people voted him, you know, they, you know, you might have had Democrats actually voting for him, going, man, I don't like this Trump mandate stuff. I don't like this warp speed. Biden says he's going to get rid of it, says he doesn't believe in mandates. I'm going to vote for Biden because I just want things to get back to normal. You know, some people are just very simple-minded people. They're not very educated, and they just want things to get back to normal. And, you know, I mean, you can bash those people and whatever, but I'm just saying that's the mindset of some people, you know, and I just don't think, you know, I think you got to be kind of careful about who we bash. But no, I'm going to read this not this one. I wanted to read that other one I was reading, though, because I didn't know about this one. I work a lot. I work like 70 hours a week almost. So it's really hard for me to ever like get a chance to sit down and read anything. But So I'm going to read this article. U.S. Supreme Court Justice rejects challenge to Maine COVID-19 vaccine mandate. So thank you, Trump, for that. So anyway, it says Washington, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer on Tuesday turned away a religious challenge to a requirement that healthcare workers in Maine be vaccinated against COVID-19, the latest such bid rejected by the nation's top judicial body. Okay, so that was Breyer that did this one, which Breyer was appointed by a Democrat president. So it says they can make another mandate exemption request for a mandate exemption once the first U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rules on their case. Shortly after Breyer's order, the Boston-based appeals court ruled against the healthcare workers, setting up the case to return to the Supreme Court. The main mandate required that all healthcare workers be fully vaccinated by the beginning of October, but the state said it would not enforce it until October 29th. Maine removed religious exemptions from the mandated vaccines. And look at this. They were planning this. Maine removed the religious exemptions from the mandated vaccines in 2019. So this was going throughout all the states in America, it looks like. And what did Trump do? He said, if they say you got to get the vaccine, you got to take it. I'll play that clip, and I think that's where I'll end this show. But Trump measles vaccine. Oops. Trump measles vaccine. Wrong. I think it's right.
They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shot. They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shot.
Wow, you can hear those people go, the measles, the measles.
They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shot.
Yeah, see, that person's going, what about the measles? Because that's one of the things they were all complaining about. Like, they were like, hey, they're getting rid of these vaccine exemptions like they did in Maine right there. And they did it in New York. They did it in California. They did a few other places. And there's Trump. And they have to get the shot. So don't think that, if you voted Trump, that something different was going to happen. See, but they had to get rid of Trump so he didn't look like the bad guy. Even though he really is the bad guy, you should see he's the bad guy. But they had to get rid of him just because they know people are stupid enough to sit there and go, oh, it's Biden. Just blame Biden and, father of the vaccine. I'll oh my gosh. So you can see all these quotes. I recommend you take the vaccine. Now, and some of you are like, it's dangerous. So why would your president, this guy you keep chanting for, why would he recommend you take something that's dangerous? I mean, if you think it's dangerous and people shouldn't be getting it, you're getting myocarditis from it and all these other things that you claim, right? Why? I mean, here's he is. It's safe. I recommend you take it. I'm proud of it. I wish I could find that one, though, where he's like, I am the father of the vaccine. maybe if I do it this way. You know, a lot of times when you do searches on YouTube, if you want it, because we know like what they'll do is they'll put like these big corporations at the top of your searches. One way to kind of get around that in a way is if you go to upload date, you can click that and you can go through things, get to it this way, but
I would have put a warning on or something on just that particular vaccine, but I certainly would have paused it and gotten front page news all over the world. And then people don't want it. And it probably even affects the others because, you know, there's a big situation with a lot of people don't want to take the vaccine. Well, this played right into their hands. And they want me to do public service messages and everything about everybody taking the vaccine. And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. You know, to get it done in less than 9 months was a miracle. Fauci said it would take 3 to 5 years. He thought it was something that just wouldn't be that effective because it would take so long to get. I pushed the FDA like they have never been pushed before. I wouldn't exactly say they're in love with me. They have never. This is a very bureaucratic organization. I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, and that's why we have it. When they did the pause on Johnson & Johnson, I thought that was a very, very stupid thing to do.
wow, he didn't even want to pause the Johnson & Johnson. See, he paused the Johnson & Johnson. Why? Because myocarditis. And he didn't. And he's going, that was a very stupid thing to do. And like you heard,
it was a miracle. Fauci said it would take 3 to 5 years. He thought it was something that just wouldn't be that effective because it would take so long to get. I pushed the FDA like they have never been pushed before. I wouldn't exactly say they're in love with me. They have never. This is a very bureaucratic organization. I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, and that's why we have it.
I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, and that's why we have it. That's why we have it, because he pushed them harder than they've never been pushed before. He rushed this thing out. He's the one who threatened them, bullied them, and pushed them harder than they've never been pushed before. And he said, that's his own words, and that's why you have it. So thank you, Trump. And we got this vaccine that can be used to threaten our jobs and everything and just shut this country down until we get it. And now the U.S. Secretary, the Treasury Secretary can do what? What can that? Oh, there's this one. Treasury Secretary. Expect shortages until everyone is vaccinated. Yeah, look at this. This is from Russia Today. U.S. Treasury Deputy Secretary warns that shortages likely to continue until everyone is jabbed. Okay, until everyone's vaccinated. So that was Wally Adeyemo, the Biden administration's second highest official in the Treasury Department, has commented on the ongoing shortages of consumer goods that have led many to mock the president as empty shelves Joe. And so here's his exact quote. The reality is that the only way we're going to get to a place where we work through this transition is if everyone in America and everyone around the world, so this isn't just America, it's everyone around the world gets vaccinated. So anyway, I just wanted to share that one thing in case that might have missed some people's attention. That was October 15th, 2021. So yeah, you can thank Trump for all this mess, man. Thank you, Trump. If you did not pressure the FDA to get that, then man, we wouldn't have the New World Order wouldn't have this to use on people to create their New World Order, to create their Great Reset, right? Because they couldn't create all this, the Pope and everybody else couldn't create this unless you gave them the the tool to do it, and the tool is the vaccination, because the whole world was not going to go along with this climate change stuff. But man, you make it to where you set the whole thing up with a vaccine, a deadly virus that we got to track everybody, and now you got that tracking in place. But that tracking also helps for that carbon footprint, and I think that's really going to be the end game to all this. Because hey, Trump, you put 3 Roman Catholics that believe in global warming on the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure they're going to share the same views as the Pope with everything else. And so, and I know it's like I said, people. I keep Sabbath. I'm a Sabbath keeping Christian. I know some people might reject me doing a show like this on the Sabbath, but I think one of the things that are important about people waking up to the Bible, and one of the first things to do is help them understand there's something wrong going on in the world. I mean, there are some people that just don't quite get it, and I think that's the first step, is it's like you're showing people that they're being told a big lie, and now they got to, try to figure out, well, how do I get to the bottom of this, because you can't just break off the branches of a tree or tear off its leaves and expect the tree to die. You got to go to its root, and you got to get those roots and dig those up, kill those roots, and then the tree will fall. Destroy those roots, and the tree will fall. And that's where I'm trying to go. I don't, if you keep letting this tree live, it's going to keep bearing its bad fruit. And we're going to keep being right back into this situation. And that bad fruit's going to still drop its seeds and its trees and all over the ground. And then it's going to spring up some more trees. And then, you just got a big mess on your hands, right? So, but just get that one tree dead. That's all I really want to do, is just get to the roots and destroy that. And so that's pretty much my show. And thank you for watching. Hope it wasn't too bad of a show. It was kind of rushed. I wish I did have time to set this up better, but I don't, Uh-oh. Hope it was even playing. What happened to my show? But anyway, later. How do I get out of my show? Oh, gosh. Sorry, people. This is like the end of my show, but I just can't even. Figure out how do I get out of my show. Oh, man. I had some kind of error that happened.